Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and Mario Tirabassi. We hope you're enjoying this beautiful Thursday afternoon in the greatest city in the world. It is a Chamber of Commerce day today. Go outside, snap some pictures, ready for the gram, ready for the MySpace.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a beautiful freaking day. If only we could do these shows outside, Joey. Let's make that happen in the future.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
outside
get the patio set up. That'd be nice.
set.
Grill some brats. Call it a day.
Rooftop show.
Outdoor
That'd be
show.
great.
Go up on the
Yeah.
rooftop, get the skyline behind us. That'd be a good set.
That would be beautiful.
Be a bit windy.
Can't have any wind though. Gotta.
That would be tough. It'd be tough today.
Wind screens, yeah.
Anyway, welcome in. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate you. Make sure you smash that like button for us on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Make sure you are following us or subscribed on your favorite podcast app, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We would greatly appreciate that. Become a diehard. AllCHGO.com is the place to do that. You'll get access to all of our great written content. You'll get a free shirt or hat at sign up, and 20% off all merch and events at the CHGO Locker and AllCHGO.com. It's a great deal. Pays for itself over the course of a very, very short amount of time. Colby Cohen, Blackhawks analyst, is going to join us today at 2:30 to talk about, among other things, the Blackhawks' decision to move development camp to off-ice only. But we're going to start with the Eastern Conference Final. Your Florida Panthers have advanced after sweeping, even though Rod Brindamore says, we weren't swept. We just lost 4 in a row.
Semantics.
So Matthew Tkachuk, Tuomo Ruutu, and the rest of the Florida Panthers are headed to the Stanley Cup Final.
Jamie Kompon.
Jamie
Kompon,
Kompon, yes. I just can't stop thinking about the fact that had Buddy Robinson not eliminated the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Florida Panthers would not have been in the playoffs. It is just
Butterfly
amazing.
It's crazy.
You know what's crazier than that is Gustav Forsling leads all players on time on ice on a team headed to the Stanley Cup Final, but we couldn't have him here at all.
It's wild.
It's just insane.
Well, you know,
I tweeted out the other night, Blackhawks fans, just take a look at the progression of Gustav Forsling and apply it to everybody in the Blackhawks farm system right now. Like, let them have some time.
Yeah.
Remember, what was that? Adam Glendening, the first time we traded him away? That's how we got Gustav Forsling from the Canucks.
I believe so, yeah.
And he was like 19, and it was like, hey, kid,
right.
go play for Joe Quenneville.
Why aren't you good yet?
Go play for Joe Quenneville and try and get some, there's Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith. Go get him, kid. And that didn't work. And he went to Carolina and was okay, and then goes to Florida, and he's been fabulous.
Yeah, it's just a good example of, and again, we're going to be spoiled again with Connor Bedard jumping right into the league and being good right away, but it's not typical. Mm-hmm. It's just not like Gustav Forsling is a really good example of what happens when you're patient and development at the NHL level, right? Like, he came up with the Hawks, and you saw the glimpses of what Gustav Forsling could be, right? Like, there were those flashes, like, okay, there it is. We saw it with Adam Boquist a little bit, but he just can't stay healthy enough to put it together for a long enough time to keep that development. Every time I feel like Boquist makes a jump, he suffers a significant injury and is kind of back to square one.
Yeah.
Forsling's been able to stay healthy for the most part and develop as he plays, and as he's gotten older and more experienced, his role has grown and grown. That is how a player develops. And I'm not making a comparison to say that Caleb Jones is going to be Gustav Forsling. However, if you look at Game 1 of 2022-23 Caleb Jones versus Game 82 2022-23 Caleb Jones, completely different guys.
It's improvement. Yeah.
And he went from, derided for most of the early part of the season. This guy sucks. Why is he here? He's only here because of Seth, yada, yada, to one of Luke Richardson's most trusted defensemen at the end of the year. So it can happen at the NHL level. It doesn't have to, but I like the way that the teams that have had Gustav Forsling have taken their time with him and said, hey, you're going to be a third pair guy. Okay, now you're a second pair guy. Now you're a top minute eater.
Yeah, and I know a couple already mentioned Carolina gave up on him too. I don't know if they necessarily gave up on him. I think it was more of a numbers game.
Yeah.
Carolina had a very veteran, crowded blue line. A lot of those guys still playing. Your Slavins and Pesci and they just signed Jake Gardner to that deal for whatever ungodly reason they did that for. But they had guys that were he was just more of a numbers game there. But good for him.
He was a waiver claim for Florida.
Yeah, they were trying to. They were trying to sneak him into the AHL because they were too crowded at the NHL level, and Florida was like, nah, let's reunite him with Joel Quenneville. Maybe that'll be the magic he needs.
Hey, it worked. Yeah. He has been a good player for a while, and I think his arrow is still pointed up, and this has been a really good showcase for him. And look, he's not awesome offensively. He's not Nicholas Lidstrom by any means, but he's just really solid. Yeah. It doesn't have to be
who he kind of reminds me of a little bit? Maybe a smaller version of like a Johnny Oduya.
I like that.
Just solid all-around defenseman, not going to score you a bunch of goals, but just always in the right place, very responsible, very smart. Yeah. That's who I see when I
like that. That's a good comp. Because Oduya was kind of like from a distance thought of as like an offensive defenseman. But I think when he got here, the offense wasn't quite what I thought it was, but the defense was a little better than I thought it was.
Yeah, he was used as more of a shutdown guy.
Yeah. Well, it helps when you're with Hjalmarsson most of the time, too.
It definitely does.
It makes a lot of people look better.
Both Swedish, too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So, and now if you want to follow Johnny Oduya on Instagram, you can learn all about the status of his bowel movements and everything. He is very into fitness.
Yeah, he's into some holistic medicine.
Yes.
And
he has
a health
reports on his
like
Instagram.
Hey, I mean,
some people
by all means.
Whatever, man.
Some people like feet. Some people like other things.
Poop charts.
Yeah, was this kind of... Johnny Oduya's on Instagram. You know what? No, I'm good.
Is he shirtless when he's reading you his poop reports?
Not often enough.
All right, well, then
not often enough.
I'm out.
He looks like there's that one picture of him or the gif of him after, I don't know if it's after a cup, but he's got the belt. Like the championship belt they gave like the MVP after every game, and he looks like a cast member from 300. He's just like carved.
Yeah, I remember. I remember
player, man.
He was either the 15 or 13 cup. I can't remember which one, but it's him at the bar, doing bar hopping with the cup, and he's shirtless and just glistening. I'm like, Jesus, just some people just have that genetic ability to just be here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and big pecs, and just all 6
on
out.
top of those 6. Yeah, it's just stacked up.
Crazy, but hey, when you work for it,
It's 6 on 6 on 6 on 6.
It's a party.
6.
It's not a six pack. It's a party ball.
What are those? Party ball. I was gonna say, what are those Coors Light things?
Yeah, it was like a beach ball full of beer.
Yeah.
I can identify with that. But hey, it's cool. We talked about it yesterday, kind of the unexpected cup run, but it's funny that he's been as good as he's been for this long. But this is Matthew Tkachuk's coming out party. Yeah. Are these playoffs? And you think about. I always think about I play NHL 23 all the time. I know it's flawed, but I just love it. But he's gonna be a 97 overall next year, maybe on the cover. He's like the new dude in the NHL. He's for 1 year anyway.
He's definitely pushing to be one of the faces of the league. I mean, he's been pretty well known for a while, but this is definitely that stage where star players become superstars, and he's definitely taking advantage of it. I mean. In a 4-game sweep, he almost single-handedly eliminated the Hurricanes. He had the 4 overtime, the 4 OT game winner, then the next OT game winner, rushes off the ice, gets the primary assist in the 1-0 game, and then with 5 seconds to spare, essentially an overtime winner, gets the game 4 winner. That's incredible.
Also, respect for, despite the meaning of that goal. You're sending your team to the cup final with 5 seconds left in the third period. Still had the presence of mind for an awesome celebration.
Sure.
To just hit the knees and put the arms out what do you think of this?
I mean, hey, when you're hot, right? You're definitely feeling it. So, yeah, he's and we were talking before the show, if the Panthers were to win the cup, there is a very difficult decision to be made between they still have one more series to play out, but there's definitely cases to be made for both Matthew Tkachuk and Sergei Bobrovsky for Conn Smythe, and you're not wrong with either.
You could make a case for them to win it even if they lose the Stanley Cup final.
Potentially,
you can still make your case for both of them.
Because it is playoffs MVP.
Right. So it's tough. If the Panthers win 4 more games, teammates are going to split the vote on that. What what's more important, the game-winning goals or the fact that you're in the situation to score a game-winning goal?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, but I've been enjoying the new national narrative that's been going around the last couple of days where, hey, if your team has a problem, just go trade for a Matthew Tkachuk. Like those guys are just throwing
why
absolutely.
not?
That's what the Carolina Hurricanes need to do. They don't have a superstar. Go get a superstar. That's what the Maple Leafs need to do. They should just trade for Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk gets traded like once every 20 years.
Right.
And
why Bill Zito was like, what?
And
yes.
Nobody was all about go get yourself a Matthew Tkachuk until about 3.5 weeks ago. Because during the regular season, it wasn't that great. Like he had a fantastic season.
He himself, but
the team
Panthers
results weren't that great. And now all of a sudden it's just like, oh, Carolina has no star power. Go get a Matthew Tkachuk. Have we forgot about Evgeny Svechnikov?
Yeah.
Where if he was playing in a major market, he'd be a much bigger star. Like
he also was hurt in the playoffs.
Yes.
So
and Max Pacioretty too. Like they had star power, they were just all injured.
Yeah, I saw a couple of people point it out on Twitter early in the series, and I started paying attention to it later. Eddie O seemed to have a little bit of a grudge against Carolina. I don't know. Did I forget about something or like? He just seemed very hard on Aho and kind of saying what you're saying, like they didn't do enough at the deadline, which you can make that argument. But
did they not hire him too?
Well, there are a lot of teams that didn't hire him. But I mean, I don't know. Like maybe there's something we don't know about. But it felt like Eddie O was being oddly a little bit hard on the Hurricanes, and I don't know. Like Aho came out yesterday and was like playing physical, and Eddie O was like, "Well, if he keeps doing that, he's gonna get hurt." It's like, what? Like, what do you?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe Rob Brendamore gave him a cheap cross check back in their playing days, and he hasn't forgiven him for that yet.
It wasn't a cheap cross check. It was just two hands on the stick like this.
It was his landing point when he fell.
Yeah, exactly.
He accidentally fell on him.
Yeah.
I
don't get that. But like the narrative going around, like just get yourself a Matthew Tkachuk on the trade market, and you're gonna go to the Cup final.
Well,
okay.
Well, and it's so funny because it's like the copycatness of the NHL is after every Stanley Cup winner, all the teams that want to be contenders are like, oh, let's copy what the Stanley Cup winners did. Like after the Blues won, oh, we got to get big and bruising and physical, and then it's like, oh, well, when the Lightning won, we got to get speed and depth, and now if the Panthers win it, it's like, what do you do to copycat that? Let's overpay for a hot and cold goalie and hope that they go on a heater, and then let's get a guy who can score 100 points just like that. Like, okay.
You got to miss the playoffs the year before, barely get in.
Trade your best player.
Yeah, exactly.
And then have a goalie by committee with one of the, most overpaid contracts on your books. Like, it's crazy. It's one of the it's funny because I don't see the Panthers, and this could come back to bite me, but I don't see the Panthers as being like, oh, they're perennial contenders now. Like this might just be like, hey, like we're getting hot at the right time. They've played playoff atmosphere hockey for like since January basically, just to even have a chance at getting in the playoffs. And then you upset the Bruins, you upset the Leafs, sweep the Hurricanes where you weren't favored again. Like this might just be one of the hottest runs that they have.
Yeah, I don't see this being the start of a dynasty by any means, because you've got Tkachuk there, you've got some nice pieces there, but like you look at some of the other guys on that team. Sam Reinhart is a reclamation project. Mm-hmm. Sam Bennett is a reclamation project.
They're working
Anthony
out.
Duclair was on Team 52. He's even former Blackhawk. Yeah. They've got a bunch of guys that just.
Radko Gudas has been kind of a journeyman.
He's been around. They keep bringing back the Stahl brothers. It's like it's not a dynasty by any means. I mean, plus, they could be a contender for the next year or two, but it all depends on what version of Sergei Bravsky are they going to get going forward. Is it going to be the guy we've seen in the playoffs? Or is it be the guy that lost his job to Alex Lyon down the stretch? But you still have Spencer Knight, and that's an interesting situation.
You got to see what happens with him.
He was going to be anointed like he was good. He's a really good goalie. He has some personal issues he had to deal with, and hopefully he's getting everything in order. If you're ever going to trade that contract, that Bobrovsky contract, This is the summer. If it's not going to happen this summer,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure.
never
Yeah.
going to happen.
There might be a GM dumb enough and smoke and mirrored enough to be like, oh well, he's back. Like, let's get him.
I was wrong yesterday. So Cap Friendly has fixed their. They have now have the first year as next year on their page. So there are 3 years left at $10 million for Bobrovsky. Yesterday I said 2.
Oh, okay.
Because Cap Friendly, whatever, hit the next button or whatever.
They moved over their
Yeah.
their
But,
cap friendly.
I mean,
contract.
as we talk about the future of the Panthers, you've got Barkov and Kachuk. Barkov's 27, Kachuk's 25, both locked up till 2029-30. I know it feels like a lifetime from now,
a long time.
but they're not going to be ancient when those deals expire.
No,
They should
they'll
be good for the
mid-30s,
bulk of
but-
those contracts.
Yeah, you're hopeful
Yeah.
for that.
And, Sam Reinhart is a free agent after next year. Bennett Verhaeghe have 2 years left. Duclair has 1 year left. And then you kind of go down the roster here. Ekblad's got 2 years left. So they've got – the core is intact.
Problem is
You know?
they don't have a lot of draft picks, and their prospect system isn't great.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel like they kind of have to get it done this year if they're going to have their chance. But
It's just, yeah.
they have been a really good team for a long time. But I don't know. It's funny when you think about when things started going downhill for the Hawks. It's when those Taves and Kane contracts kicked in. Like really, like that's because what was that signed in it was the summer of 2014.
Summer of 14 going into
but the contracts began after the Cup win.
Yeah.
So
So
they didn't win much of anything
So
after
they
that.
technically did not win a single playoff series in the duration of those last contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how you view the bubble. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So remember how funny it was? Just a few months ago, we were laughing at the Canadians writer that said they have an 11% chance of the number 1 overall pick because they had the Panthers pick.
Yeah.
And now it might be the last pick of the entire first
Wow.
round.
Hey.
It was a lot of it was another crack
They-
at Connor Bedard
Yeah.
2 months ago, and now it might be the last. It's gonna be one of the last 2 picks of the first round, regardless. That's
Oh my
crazy.
God, that's so true.
Crazy.
Boy, Dr. Horror Show with a good Kirby Doc was on fire in the bubble. That's true. That was like, remember we all were
Yeah.
like, that's the arrival. He's here.
That was
Kirby Doc's the best player in the ice.
Coming
And he
out for
was.
Kirby Doc. That was, the kind of the last time we saw Taze do anything of the old version of himself. Oli Mata had like 4 goals in that series.
Yeah.
Like it was weird.
But remember too, that's when Taves said he kind of let
that's
Jeremy
when
Collin
he
know,
st-
like, you can't put me on the ice
That's
right
when
now.
he
I got
started
nothing left.
feeling, feeling what was kind of the end of his physical peak. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's fun, man. I am a temporary Florida man. I'm rooting for the
Yeah.
Panthers. It's been so fun.
It's been a great. They've been a fun team to watch, an exciting team to watch. It's a great storyline, and now you got a chance for Vegas to join them tonight. We could see a double
Rob
sweep.
says Eddie O's brother was a former assistant GM of the Hurricanes and was fired.
Yeah,
Ah,
Ricky. But he landed in Seattle,
Yeah, worked out for both.
and then
And then the
Eddie and
whole
Nick,
Old Czech
the whole
family is in
family's
Seattle. Yeah.
now. So
Family affair.
yeah,
Well, maybe hard feelings still live. Who knows?
I don't know. It is yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, that was. We all picked that series to go 7 and it gets swept, but it was 4 1-goal games, essentially 3 overtime games.
basically,
I mean,
yeah.
they could have very easily gone the other way or be 2-2 right now. And, Hurricanes, just another year where they're close, but they just don't have whatever to get over the top. Whether it's they just ran into the wrong team at the wrong time, but I thought they were going to win that series heading in. I just thought their defense was good enough to get them past. But man,
and they
Bobrovsky-
Got to put the puck in the
Yeah.
net.
But yeah, and they ran into this series. This run by Bobrovsky is reminding me of the first time a Stanley Cup was won in Florida. That run Nikolai Hababulin had for the Lightning when they won that cup in the 90s.
yeah.
That was just he just
2004?
played. Yeah, or was it? Yeah, I'm sorry, 2004,
Yeah.
not the 90s. That run, he was just you weren't. That was when the Bulin Wall moniker came
Yeah.
up. You just weren't beating him.
Yeah.
So it's reminding me a lot of that run. Hey, a Russian goalie in Florida. Weird.
There you go.
Carolina had 6 goals the entire series, including 3 last night.
Yeah.
That's
That's
he
not
had
going to get it done.
He had his worst game last night, and his offense bailed him out.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, you could argue the other 3 games was him bailing out his offense until
True.
they got that goal.
But you're still like seeing at the end of the game a significant shot advantage from Carolina, and score effects play a role. Being down plays a role because you take more risks, but still. And I think we joke, but Ron Brind'Amour's point was like, we did everything right except beat Bobrovsky.
right.
And what you got to tip your cap at some point.
He was asked, I think it was before, or it might have been after Game 3, like, the feeling of this series and how it compared to like when he was with Carolina in 2002, and he was just like going up against Dominik Hasek, and you're like, you can't beat him. Like you can do everything right, and you're not going to beat him.
It's got to be so frustrating.
I mean, look at him after last night's game.
Yeah.
Someone, I think it was Pete Blackburn was just like Rob Brind'Amour is starting his Joker like storyline or something. Like he's on the mic just like, what am I supposed to do? We can't do anything. We did everything we were supposed to, and you get swept. And yeah, I mean, to lose a series by having a -4 goal differential, but it only went 4 games. So
yeah,
it's just it's one of those things where you just kind of throw your hands up and you're like,
just tip your
you just tip your cap
and say, you know what, you beat us. They executed everything well except for the most important part of the game, and scoring a goal.
That little gray streak on Rod's hair is getting a little bit bigger.
More to it, yeah.
Welcome to the club, pal.
We've got Game 4 of Vegas and Dallas tonight in Dallas. Puck drop at 7 o'clock Chicago time on ESPN. Another sweep?
No, Jamie Benn. I don't think Pavelski or Evgeny Dadonov are playing for the Stars, so they are certainly hurting for their some of their top players. I think it's done.
Yeah, after the embarrassment that they did both on the ice and in the stands, Game 3, it just seems so hard how they can come back. But I would hope they're playing for some pride tonight.
Sure.
Maybe Vegas takes their foot off the pedal for a game. We've seen it happen, in the past. But it's lining up for another sweep, which means Dallas probably wins 9-0 tonight. Don't ask me. I can't predict crap these days.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, we got Colby Cohen standing by. We're going to get to him in a second. But first, we want you looking good for the summer. Get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, banana hammocks, and everything in between. Available from our friends at FOCO. It is spring and baseball season. Get decked out for the game with Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need. They have made our set look awesome here with all the stuff you see behind us and all around us with the bobbleheads and the signs and everything we've got here. That's courtesy of our friends at FOCO. Get your man cave decked out. Get your new shed and your yard decked out, Greg, and get some Hawks merch.
It's already full of crap. No more room.
Maybe they got a sign that says crap hole or something that you can put in your shed.
Full o' crap.
Full of crap, definitely. I'll just wear it around my neck. Go to FOCO.com, use the promo code CHGO, and you'll save 10% off all non-pre-sale items. Again, that's FOCO.com, promo code CHGO. Get some sweet clothes, some sweet stuff for your bar, whatever. FOCO's got you covered, whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, if you're buying awesome stuff from FOCO to decorate your home with, and now you need to get some floodlights, some nice track lighting to show all your cool merch, and you want to save money on said track lighting, well, then you need to get involved with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, as it's committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future.
You are so right, Greg. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across their territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
Can you tell me again how that works? I keep forgetting.
I can. Gladly. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. So if you own a business, Joey, don't wait. Get started saving money and energy, also known as Monergy, today for energy-saving tips, lighting, incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, Greg. Go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Did you say ComEd.com/poweringbiz? B-I-Z?
Did.
That's awesome.
Biz, B-I-Z.
B-I-Z.
Schedule your appointments today.
I was just telling you to pay attention to the read, Joey.
Got
So
it.
you can save Monergy.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's what you
you
wanna
know,
do.
That's my
I know
favorite.
you have a lot of industrial kitchen equipment.
Kidding me?
So
I'm looking forward to reading the comment read later on the Bulls show.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah, we need the CHGO deep fryer.
All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
I want that.
Yeah, put that out on the patio.
There you go. All right, we're going to join now. That was an awkward. Let me try that again. We are joined now
Nice.
by Blackhawks analyst Colby Cohen. Follow him on Twitter at Colby Cohen36. He does TV for the Hawks and a whole bunch of other stuff. Hey, man, how's your off season going so far?
It's going. It's certainly nice to get a little bit of time away and kind of be able to kick your feet up and watch a little bit of playoff hockey. But it's also been a little bit kind of a boring playoffs. You know, I mean, there's obviously storylines, but the games probably haven't felt like they normally do this time of year. So I got a newborn and we're here in South Jersey, spending a little bit of time with some family down at the beach at the shore. And, but it's good. You know, I got both my dogs with me right now. And so if you hear some barks or some noises, it's like, I'm not home in my own, normal space. So, there might be some four-legged distractions making their cameos on the show.
Yeah, no one's ever been upset about puppies on the show.
No,
I mean,
but just like one of our remote shows on a Friday when one of my dogs wants to get on camera.
Yeah.
It's all good.
yeah.
My dog Oliver keeps bringing me the ball. Of course, he waits for me to get on camera, and then he's standing right next to me staring at me like, come on, let's go. Aren't you going to play with me? That's how they do it, right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can play fetch with your dog while you talk with us.
Well, we want to start with the news of the week, and we saw you tweet about it, and that was really what inspired us to reach out to you. The Blackhawks have made the decision to take their development camp off ice. They're not going to do any sort of scrimmaging or drills or anything. They want to get guys, acclimated to the NHL, and you seem to be for the idea. Can you explain to our audience why?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally for the idea, and that's a little bit of sort of personal experience, and then it's a little bit of like just understanding and knowing how summer training programs work, and having gone through it and seeing what the sports science is and seeing how evolved all that stuff goes. And I never really understood what good you were going to really get out of putting guys on the ice, let's say the last week of June, because some drafts is what, or the June 21st, June 22nd. This year it's a little bit later on the 28th, but it completely disrupts a player's summer training to put them on the ice at that time of year, and expect them to be kind of going at the level that any kid is going to go at when they know that their management team, media, and fans are watching. It's not like players aren't necessarily skating. Some of them aren't. The younger ones probably are skating, but they're doing skill work. You're working on power skating. You're working on puck handling. You're working on, different skill drills and this and that. And then you bring them to this environment where guys are going to go 300% effort and 300 miles an hour. And they're going to want to be physical, and they're going to want to show because you put on that NHL logo, even on a practice jersey, and it's going to bring it out of you. And I think that part of it is horrible for a guy's summer. And I'll tell you from my own personal experience, the way these strength coaches train in the summer for players, that, they put you on a program based on how many months you have, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it may be. And the training is very tailored to that time of year. You start with powerful stuff and you're training certain systems for strength. And then as you get closer to training camp, your training starts to change and you're doing more quick twitch muscles. You're getting yourself ready for training camp. So the way your program goes over the 12 weeks of summer, it ramps you to that level. So it's incredibly disruptive to your summer training when 2 weeks before July 4th or whatever the week you're doing your development camp is you basically have to scrap your summer program and you have to start getting ready for on ice and ramping up the on ice because you don't want to hurt your groin. You don't want to hurt your hip. You don't want to do that. So it's incredibly disruptive to, your summer training program. And I think it's smart. I really do. I think get them into the building, leave them off the ice, let the strength and conditioning coach teach them what it takes to train at that level, show them things that will be they'll need to do in training camp, let them meet with the nutritionists and keep them off the ice. And I know just from hearing the rumor that this is something that like somebody slipped up and mentioned to us in a meeting probably 4 or 5 months ago because we were starting to talk about summer plans. And I remember asking, should I be around for development camp in case we're doing a live stream of a game? And like 4 or 5 months ago, we were told, I don't think there's ice this year at development camp. So this is something they had kind of been planning for a while. And again, I just think from the practicality standpoint, I know it bums fans out and I know it bums media out because it's a cool little event for everybody. I do understand that. But if we want these guys to be their best when they come to training camp, putting them on the ice is really disruptive for their development at this stage of the summer. It just is.
Do you think that there's also, because we've seen a few players either play through, come to find out later, playing through some sort of ailment, or come out of prospect camp, the rookie tournament with injuries. Is there also some consideration to just kind of cut down the risk of potentially having any of these guys hurt just from being on the ice and being in, board battle drills or anything like that?
100%. Like there has to be, because when you're not ready to do board battles and nobody in July that's played a full season is ready for board battles in July, it's really, they're not ready for it. And I'll tell you guys, I had a high ankle sprain in development camp my first or second year. I had to miss World Junior Camp later in the summer. Okay. I didn't make the World Junior team that year, which was really, a bummer because it was one of my statistically best seasons at BU as a sophomore. So like I wasn't ready to start my season. I couldn't do any of training camp at BU and it was not good. I mean, that was my own personal experience. And it was because I was trying to be uncharacteristically physical in a scrimmage in development camp the last week of June, and so I think there's a lot of considerations. And if you saw the tweet, and I haven't been very active on Twitter, I try to like this time of year, take a little bit of a step back from social media, but
Smart.
I if you look at my tweet and then you look at the few people that replied, one was Mike Boyle, or I don't know if he replied to mine or he saw it and then he retweeted something. Mike Boyle's kind of a world-renowned strength and conditioning coach in New England and throughout the United States. And he jumped in and said he thought how smart of an idea this was. Sean Skaken, who's the former Minnesota Wild strength and conditioning coach, and now his kid plays at the national team, and he's deeply embedded in hockey, USA Hockey. He jumped right in to say how smart this was and how this used to be how teams did it. Jeff Lavecchio, he's a trainer in St. Louis. He trains a ton of pro guys in the NHL, prospects, young players. He jumped in and had an opinion about it, and they were all similar kind of opinions. Those are people that I've learned from throughout my life, and so I'm not like necessarily shocked that those people said that, but it was good to see smart strength and conditioning people kind of jump in there and also talk about that, because again, like I really do. I'm not just giving the company line here. I thought it was a great idea when it happened. Like when I heard about it 4 months ago, I was like, I think that's the right decision for everything the Blackhawks are preaching. This falls in line with it. It matches the message of this rebuild and the slow development and the smart development that they're looking for.
Yeah, it's perfectly logical. It doesn't mean it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody wanted to see someone in particular on the ice. Like, I get that. I really do. I mean, I get it. I enjoyed last year getting to see, Ryan Green play for the first time. And Savoy and, all those Korchinski, like that was enjoyable. I mean, those are studs, those kids. But I think at the end of the day, it's a smart decision. And again, you can only ever ask for, clear direction from an organization. And again, I think it falls in line with the direction of our hockey ops.
I, for one, am not disappointed that I don't have to get to the Fifth Third Arena at 6 o'clock in the morning to get a parking spot for that circus that would have happened if there would have been on ice activity. So, and as you mentioned, like this development, the rookie camp happening this time of year is kind of a newer trend. It has not, it's not something that dates back to the 40s or 50s. And with so much more importance now on the draft and developing your own talent because of the hard salary cap and all this other stuff, do you think the Blackhawks are maybe setting a trend in the opposite direction here? If they look at it and teams go, well, okay, look at how they're developing their talent, maybe we don't have to do that. Do you see more teams jumping on this bandwagon?
I would bet money on it because this is a copycat league. Everything anybody does, they're copying from other teams for the most part. And I 100% think next summer, you're going to see 5 or 6 teams decide they're not doing ice at their development camp. And I'll just tell you, like I was drafted in 2007 and my first development camp, I think was 2008. Being a college player, they didn't have us come right away. And I think I did 3 development camps. And the last development camp that I went to with Colorado, we didn't skate. There was no ice. We golfed. We had meetings with nutritionists. We did team building exercises because it was a sort of a transitional period for the organization. They had just drafted Matt Duchene, Ryan O'Reilly. They had just taken Kevin Shattenkirk. Like there was a lot of first and second round picks, and they wanted us to be like out on it. We did this like stuff with, it was like an Army guy, like a former Army Ranger. And we did all these team building exercises and they were hard. Don't get me wrong, but it was different than necessarily battling each other on the ice and competing with each other. It was more, they were creating this bond amongst a young group of players. And I got to tell you, I'm still close with a lot of those guys, whether it's Tyson Barrie, whenever he comes to town, it's great to see him. Ryan O'Reilly, like we all had to go through, some grueling days together off the ice. And I think that aspect of it, I think is a little bit underrated because the future of this team and the core of this team is all in infancy, and they're all guys who are probably at this development camp. So, I think that's a big part of it as well. Just sort of that team bonding and that camaraderie aspect of it while not having them doing it on the ice where, again, there's more of a risk for injury, in my opinion, and it's unnecessary.
How do you think this impacts the Tom Curvers tournament? You think the Hawks still plan on competing in that?
That's a good question. I think some organizations really like them playing in games where some organizations don't want them in games, want them just kind of getting up to speed and kind of getting comfortable with their new gloves and this and that. I'm not really sure. That is not something I've ever talked to Kyle about, like what his preference is about, does he want them playing games? I would think that they're still going to play in that tournament. I do think, having been there last year, obviously you guys were there too. I do think there's some value in that for the young guys of kind of working through some jitters and this and that. But, again, we're kind of on the cusp of this new dawn with this sort of core of young players. Now we've got the Korchinski draft 1 year in. We're about to have another draft that there's going to be quite a bit of capital that comes out of it. So, and assets that come out of it. So I think they'll still play in that, Jay. I do. And we'll see, but I think that there's definitely some value in those games.
Well, maybe we make a trip to Minnesota and see what,
all right,
see what we can do.
Sounds good to me. Last time I was there, I almost died, but that's a different show for a different day. That's when I thought of Long Island was Coke, 7-Up, and vodka.
It's not.
I had 7 in 1 hour.
I'm surprised you're still sitting
That's
there.
for a show in July.
Wow.
Colby, I know you have a Blackhawks email, so you can't say the name, but how excited are you about the number 1 pick and covering the number 1 pick this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's an exciting time for everybody who is a fan, everybody who works there. I mean, the energy in sort of Blackhawks Nation right now is pretty incredible. I mean, I have I mean, I was walking my dogs earlier today, and I'm wearing a red Blackhawks hoodie. It's like kind of chilly in the mornings. And I had someone who came up to me, and I figured they were going to ask me about my dog. And they were like, how about that number 1 overall pick? I mean, I'm in South Jersey right now. So people are talking about it. And, this is some serious luck. And look, I was sort of preparing myself and had it in my head that I thought they were going to end up with the 2nd overall pick. And so I was like really kind of processing what that would look like. I think everybody knows what that would look like. And I was excited about that. So after doing the Frozen Four and getting to see that guy up close and personal. So it's really exciting. I mean, and I, I've said this to you guys before. I get the best seat in the house a lot of nights between the benches. I hope I still get that next year. Those tickets are flying off the shelves. So who knows what's going to happen with that, but it'll be exciting, with that draft choice and that type of player coming to town. There's reasons for anybody who's a hockey fan to really be excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be really awful to get paid watching that guy play hockey for the next few years. Just terrible luck. Well, you mentioned, you were at the Frozen Four. Very few guys have their thumb on the pulse of college hockey like you do, Colby, and the Hawks have a lot of guys. College hockey has become so much more important over the last 10, 15 years. Even when you're talking about, Adam Fantilli and Cale Makar, guys who from Canada decide to come to the United States to play college hockey as opposed to CHL. Why do you think more of these top prospects are taking the college route as opposed to the traditional, go play in the OHL or WHL? Now they're coming down here to play in the NCAA.
Yeah, you know why? I think one of the biggest reasons why is because development has become so important because of the hard salary cap, because of young players needing to perform and be ready. And I think the college path gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to develop. There's less of a rush. Your clock starts a little bit later. And I think there's actually a trend in college right now where players aren't leaving after 1 year. There was a period of time where players were in and out, gone. You just saw Logan Cooley, the Arizona prospect, decide he's going to stay. Whatever the reasons are, he feels like staying is going to continue to help him at Minnesota. We saw it with Brock Faber coming back, who just was phenomenal in the playoffs. We saw it with Matty Nyes, who was phenomenal in the playoffs. They're all coming back for that second year. I've heard rumors that Adam Fantilli may go back to college. He loves playing with his brother. He's not in a rush. These college athletes can earn money now through NIL deals. They can, pull in $100,000, couple $100,000 as a college hockey player now if you're a guy like Adam Fantilli with the different opportunities that are out there. So Lane Hudson, he's going back to college. So there's this sort of path right now that is being formed, and Cale Makar, sort of was a pioneer to spend that second year at UMass and then go right into the NHL and be such an impact player. So I'm thrilled to death that college hockey is having all these star players stick around, stay in the game, continue to develop, go win, go be the best player every night in a college season, playing against 24 and 25-year-old guys. That is going to get you ready, for the next level. But the one thing I will say, I would love to see college hockey add 10 games to their schedule. I'd love to see them get to 45 games. I really would add 2 more weekends on the front and the back end. And there's your 8 to 10 games more. I think the NHL would love to see that. But you know what? I think it's a great path for players. You get a ton of time in the gym. You're lifting weights in season 2-3 times a week. You're not doing that at a junior schedule when you're playing 75, 80 games. I do. I think it's a good path, and I'm excited to see it continue to grow. I love watching our guys play college. It's got me watching games 24/7. Like, my wife can name half the players in college hockey now, especially our prospects, because every Friday, Saturday night this year, we had ESPN Plus on, and we were streaming BU games. We were always watching Wyatt Kaiser play this year, because I want to get 15 views on a guy before they get to Chicago, because then I'm not just reading it and then regurgitating. I've got my own views on a guy. I'm getting to see his tape and see him play. So, it's exciting and yeah, like I love being a part of it. I feel fortunate to get to do the Frozen Four. It's I circle it every year. It's a great event. And again, this year even better because we had a bunch of guys playing in the Frozen Four.
Well, you led us right there. So everyone's talking about Korchinski, who's still playing with Seattle, but a lot of the top Blackhawks prospects from Nazar and Green are college players. Drew Commesso you saw a lot of. Tell us what you think about these guys, like right on the precipice of the NHL that you got to watch closely last year at the college ranks.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Drew Commesso had a really strong finish to his season. I know people talked about his numbers a little bit, and he had a couple of games that, the team kind of abandoned him a little bit and gave up some big goals against. I think that hurt his stats, but when it was push came to shove down the stretch, I mean, he was really good. I mean, he kept BU in that Frozen Four game. They could have been down 9-1 in the first period. So I'm really impressed with his game. I think he's a quiet, calm goaltender, and I think that's going to suit him well. I think he's going to get an opportunity to be the guy in Rockford this year. I think him and Jackson Stauber will battle it out to be the guy, but he's going to get to play at least 40 starts this year, which is probably more than he's started, than he's got to play. He's going to practice every day. So I'm excited about Commesso, really excited about Ryan Green. I got to watch him so much this year. I always do have a little bit of bias towards these BU guys because I see them more, but Green is a mature player. I mean, he really is a complete, as it gets for a 19-year-old centerman at the NCAA level playing on a top six power play type of role. So loved those guys this year. I thought Wyatt Kaiser was the best player on Duluth all year. I really did. I thought he made major strides throughout the year and just kind of continued to dominate at that level. And his team wasn't very good. I know there's a forward on Duluth. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Maybe you guys can help me out. There's a mid to later round draft pick from Duluth that also had a good season. But I'm drawing a blank. Mario, do you know his name off the top of your head?
Is it Connor or something?
No, it's not Connor.
Hold on.
It's not Connor Kelly because he left and went somewhere else. But there's a forward and he had a really good season. I'm drawing a blank. Of course, the minute we hang up, I'll remember it. But look, these guys all took really good strides. I didn't see a ton of Frank Nazar other than at the end of the year for obvious reasons, but I got to talk to him at the Frozen Four and it was great to talk to him kind of away from, the media, I guess, that like when we get him in Chicago, just to hear, how it's been going for him and just, kind of how his year's been. And it's obviously was frustrating for him being injured, but you can tell that kid has a ton of talent. He's going to play top 6 minutes next year in Michigan. It's kind of going to be his first year of college hockey, but I would expect to see him hit the ground running, have a huge season, have a huge role on that team. So I think he's another guy that he's gonna make an impact in Chicago sooner than later.
Dominic James was the name we were looking
Dominic
for.
James, there we go. He had a good season. Like he really did. He's a good two-way forward. He plays with a ton of speed. He can find the back of the net. Stuck out almost every time I watched Duluth. He stood out. He really did. He plays with a ton of jam. He fits the mold. Everything we've been told, you look at these players and the way that they're playing, they fit the mold. So, I appreciate sort of the hey, this is our plan, this is what we're doing, and then actually sticking to that. So
let's wrap up on kind of on that thing. Like the plan is, despite getting the number 1 pick, can't say the name, Kyle Davidson said he's sticking to the plan. Also says, though, that he's probably not going to make every pick that they have. They'll probably trade some. Do you see them trading up, or do you see them trying to bring in some help for future number 1 center?
Yeah, so I think a little bit of both. I think Kyle would love to get into the first round with another pick. And maybe that's using 19 to move up and packaging it with it some seconds. Having talked with him a little bit and kind of done some of my own sort of research on Instat, which is like a great video tool where you can really find any game from any league at any time. I'm not overly familiar with most of the prospects that are from these Canadian junior leagues, but I narrowed it down. I looked at the guys who were big. I looked at for guys who could skate, and I looked at guys who were ranked in the top 40 of the draft. And then I started circling players that were bigger guys that had scouting reports that said they could skate. And then I started watching periods from games of the OHL, the WHL, and started to sort of compile a list of players that I think are guys that they could potentially be targeting and looking at. And I think there's a lot of really good value in the middle of this first round, like picks 15 to 30. They can be number one types of players. They can be number one centers, number one wingers, stuff like that. So I think Kyle's going to be very aggressive at the draft. I really do. I think he has the luxury to be very aggressive with having the first overall pick, having a pretty solid group of defenseman prospects, and having all those picks in the second round, and then cap flexibility. We could take on a contract. I saw something on the internet the other day that said, the LA is looking to move Victor Arvidsson's contract, right? And who knows if that's true or not, right? But I think Kyle will look at opportunities like that to move up in the draft, hopefully land maybe another team's prospect, something like that. And again, he's got options. And I think we saw at the draft last year, he's not afraid to be aggressive and use his options. But I would expect him to kind of follow suit with that. I think he's going to be aggressive. I think he's going to try to get higher up in the draft at that second pick, or potentially use capital from the second round to move up again into the first, depending on how guys are falling. I do know this about Kyle. I know that he sees these players. Him and I have kind of talked about how irregular it is, how much time he spends on the road scouting. Most GMs aren't doing that. So he's not just reliant on his scouts. He's also, there physically seeing these players more than one time. He scouts the Western League a ton. He's been up in Ontario. They did the U18 tournament where they got to see quite a bit of players. And he didn't just show up for the semifinals and the finals. He went to the entire tournament. He was in Switzerland for like 2 weeks. So I think there's going to be players that they target. I think some teams build their board and they're like, okay, best available. I think Kyle's a little more strategic, and he sees players that he's targeting in different areas, and then they'll assess, is this player going to fall to this pick, or do I need to be aggressive and move up to get him based on where other teams value these players? So I think it's going to be an entertaining draft night. I really do. I think that first round, it's a really good chance we'll see them try to get in, either get a third first round pick or move that 19th pick up the board and package it with other things. And again, I think they've got a lot of flexibility to take contracts on. Look, there's always good players where teams are like Victor Arvidsson. You mean to tell me you wouldn't like to see that guy playing on a line with that gentleman's jersey that you have on your table right now?
Number one pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's just a cap casualty, right? There's always good players that are cap casualties. And I think, to me, being patient and using that is sort of a better idea than going out into free agency, because look, good players, they don't want 1-year deals. I know everybody wants Max Domi back in Chicago. I'd love to have him back in Chicago. The reality is, though, someone's probably going to offer him term and dollars and an opportunity to be on a team that's competing. And players are competitive. They want to compete. They do not want to wait. So I think they're going to have to be patient and strategic and kind of, use those different tools in order to put players around the young players to help them succeed.
Colby, we could do 5 hours with you, honestly.
I know, I'm a talker. You guys know that.
It's great, man. There's just so much to get to, and that's the beauty of it. We do have to wrap up. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you down in Nashville. Yes, will you be there?
Still TBD. I know the Hawks are definitely planning. NBC will definitely have some people down in Nashville, but I also know there's plans to hopefully have some coverage, that's sort of rooted back in Chicago, whether it's at the studio, whether it's at a draft party. I don't know yet. I think they're still flushing all that stuff out. But I'm just going to kind of go wherever they tell me. That you guys have seen this for the last 2 years. I'm in a different spot all the time, and that's just kind of how my job works. So,
all right, man. Well, sooner or later, we're going to see you one way or another. So enjoy the rest of the off season. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks,
guys.
Colby.
Appreciate it.
That is Blackhawks analyst Colby Cohen. Follow him on Twitter at Colby Cohen 36. Before we wrap up, it is sunny. You need some shades.
Yes, you need some shades for directly in the center of your face, not slightly to the left or right.
No.
You need to call our friends Shady Rays so you can take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that is even better than any pair I've ever worn of those expensive brands. They have durable frames that will be perfectly centered on your head and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. And together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners throughout the United States. With the Shady Rays Impact Program, they're doing everything from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others just like it for now and years to come. And if you don't love your Shady Rays,
You will.
but you will.
You will.
And we're getting a lot of comments on the chats and on Twitter. People getting their Shady Rays and loving them.
Perfect time.
You can exchange them for a new pair if you're one of those weirdos that don't like them, but we don't have any weirdos around these parts.
Nah.
Or you can return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And right now, starting today through the end of the month, it's the Memorial Day sale at Shady Rays. Go over to ShadyRays.com and you can get 35% off all pairs of sunglasses now until the end of the month. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
That's a lot of people.
And a lot of
All right,
stars.
thanks, everybody. We had a lot of people in our chat today and smashing that like button. If you haven't yet, do it on the way out. We're back tomorrow at 2. Reminder, we are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. We're just making it worse and worse. For Greg and Mario and Joey, I'm Jay. This has been the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.